Well, hi everybody. I just want to say first and foremost, this is the first time I've ever been to Newfoundland. It now completes my collection of provinces. I've been to all other 9. I saved the best for last. I just want to say that. I completely love it here. Beautiful, beautiful. I have a lot of jealous friends at home looking at my Facebook account going, wow, I wish I was there. And I'm like, I know, you should have been. Anyway, I want to thank right off the top Jennifer for inviting me over here and doing so much for the trans community here. And as her joke was, and I'm just going to, and I hope it doesn't offend anybody, but her joke was like, yeah, as soon as you get over here, the trans population is going to double. So she... So I thought that was kind of comical, and it just goes to show that I'm sure there are many more trans people out there, here and everywhere else. There's just a big stigmatic thing that is that, you know, a lot of us don't want to come out. They don't want to be out, and they just want to basically what they call live the stealth life, do it underground, nobody knows. Unfortunately, kind of like Jen's story, I didn't get to do that. I had that little vision of just a little brief moment of time where I said, wow, I could come out, maybe people wouldn't know. I believe on the first week, 40,000 people within the community knew that I was trans and going from, they knew the old me and came out to be the new me. Part of that was work related, and I've worked in the public school system in New Brunswick for 11 years, and so that included students, teachers, in 2 different districts, and also some that are friends in other districts I never worked for. And it just, it became like a hot item for about 5 minutes until the prom committee started planning prom, right? Like, so I mean, it was a quick 15 minutes of fame, but it also brought me out to say, well, who cares? You know, I can actually live my life and be who I am, and if I make a mistake, it's not like anybody, you know, doesn't know that or didn't expect it. So I suppose I should steer this into, because transition and everything else about being transsexual is definitely involved in the medical and mental health community. It is very much entwined in it, actually, not necessarily for what we call the transgendered umbrella, that there would be some do not choose to go to take psychological evaluations. Some of them do not choose to take drugs or surgeries or anything. They live a different style of life that I guess Jen and I would, to the effect of that, no, we want the surgeries, we want the drugs, we want the good stuff. I should say good stuff for us. I'm not saying that it's not good for them. But basically, I said this at a community forum that I did back in Moncton last year at our Pride, and it started this way. I won't do it again because I screwed it up the first time. I never do it again. But coming out as trans, considering that I was married to a great woman for 8 years and came out as trans, and basically you take your purse, being trans, and you zip it open, tip it over, dump everything out, absolutely everything. And that's what being trans is, because you're losing everything right off the bat. First of all, first thing is you look at your keys. Your keys might have keys to your house, keys to your car, keys to all that stuff. You could be losing that in 3 seconds because you might not have a home to go home to anymore. They might kick you out. Another thing would be you take out your wallet. Definitely empty all your money out of your wallet. That's gone, that's gone. You're basically going to lose it all because, as maybe some of you know, transsexuality or just anything trans related to transition is not covered here. Not in Newfoundland, not in the eastern provinces. We have no coverage for anything. And another big thing that I found too is that while you're looking through your wallet, you better also take out your pictures of your friends and your family and look at those, because you might not look at all of them very much longer. And I'm sure that also parallels with many gays and lesbians and bisexuals. When they come out, they could also lose certain things like that, but definitely you do lose a lot of your purse doing that. And I personally did. I lost a lot, but gained a lot of it back, which is a long story, and I won't really go into it, but what I really want to focus on now is just basically that when you do transition, when you do this, there is a standards of care. Roger was mentioning about that there was a DSM, or I can never remember the acronym, but the DSM, go ahead, do you remember what it is? Disease or mental and...
Diagnostic Statistic Manual.
So great to have people that are educated on the panel. Anyway, the DSM, transsexuality is still included. Actually, it was really funny that they removed being gay and lesbian out of the DSM in 1973, you said. My trans therapist actually told me they added transsexuality to it at that time and it's never left. So you're looking at a mentally ill person, I guess. That's how it works. That's how we have to actually be. On top of being transsexual, some of you may know, or some of you may not know, that you actually have to follow what are called standards of care. And these standards of care require that it takes at least 2 to 3 years to transition with all your surgeries, with all your hormones and everything else. And it is so regulated down to a science with mental health professionals, and they have to be specialist mental health professionals. I'll get into that in a second. You have to also go to special doctors because not every doctor wants to talk to you. And you also have to basically do everything on their time, when their time is, when they can do when they can see you. And unfortunately, the problem is that, as we know, with pretty much anything in the medical and mental health system that we have in Canada, for that matter, nothing happens overnight. Unless you're dying on the side of the road, nothing's going to happen. You're not getting into OR, you're not getting into your endocrinologist, you're not getting into your doctor in 5 minutes. You might wait 6 months after you've had a referral to get in to see them. You might 6-8 months of trying to put your life back together but can't move on with it. It's very, very frustrating. Kind of echoing a lot that I'm sure Jen has thrown onto YouTube and every place else going around, you know. And if you've ever talked to a trans person, I'm sure that's the first thing they come out and say. But one thing I want to start my story is coming out. I have to say I've been one of the most fortunate people to do that, in the fact that I was able to keep my job, which I was very nervous about losing. I remember crying my eyes out in my HR's office saying, what am I going to do? Kids aren't going to know what this is all about. And they said, well, we'll make them know what it's all about. And they'll just have to learn to deal with it. And they worked very well with me. But in that conversation, one of the big things that they asked is they said, we need more information on what it's like to be transsexual and how to accommodate you and how to do this, which is, to any transsexual or anybody who knows one, they actually want to know, they're actually going to look after you. And I said, well, yeah. And they said, well, who can we call? And being working for the province, they had what's called an employee assistance program that we pay dues into. And I could see a psychologist of probably within a day if I wanted to. However, I believe they had probably a dozen or more therapists. None of them dealt in trans issues. They are going to be useless to me. I could go see them for depression, I could go see them for other things, but I need to start documenting for the standards of care that I am seeing a transsexual therapist. And anyway, when HR, my boss, asked me that, they said, well, who can we talk to about trans issues and how to accommodate you? I said, you're looking at her. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, well, basically, you're going to make the same 6 phone calls I made when I came out and went, so that's what's wrong with me. Oh, well, now where do I go? Who do I turn to? How do I find information? How do I do this? And I made 5 phone calls and ended up with a trans therapist in Halifax. And I still see that trans therapist in Halifax, which is about 2.5, 3 hour drive to go see every 6 weeks, every 2 months, something like that. So when I told them that, I said, you're going to basically end up calling the same 5 numbers and getting my phone number. And sure enough, they actually went ahead and did it. Half an hour later, my cell phone rings. And I said, okay, who do you want to talk to? They said, can we talk to your therapist in Halifax? I said, well, sure. And that I thought was an outrage. I just thought it was so funny that Moncton, it's smaller than St. John's here, but it's about 100,000, 120,000 people, and nothing, absolutely nothing to help you with. And my transition basically has taken me to Halifax countless times to go down there and attend therapy at my own expense, paying for my own gas, sometimes paying for a hotel, and then to go see an endocrinologist. If you're not familiar with that term, they are a specialist doctor that deals with hormones. They don't just deal with trans people, there's actually, I believe the book said there are 6 endocrinologists in the Moncton area. Not one of them will see me to transition. Even though they could prescribe me, they just have to write me a note and say, here you go. They will not talk to you. And so mine is 3.5 hour drive, 3.5 hours to drive to in Woodstock, New Brunswick, one way. And then I drive back. I was actually there last Friday. So I mean, like, it is an unbelievable expense to actually go through with it. I've been lucky that I've been able to find money some way and actually make it all happen, but it came at a huge expense to me because I lost my wife right off the top. I got to keep my job, but I had to sell my house because I could either live in my house or I can transition. I can't do both. So on top of all the HRT, which is funny, the hormones themselves are actually covered under my drug plan. So it's like $5 every 3 months. But on top of all the external stuff with all that, I haven't added it all up totally, but over the last 2 years, I think I'm 25 grand in the hole, something like that. And I'm still in for a lot more. I'm only about halfway through. So the worst part with that is that we, and Jen and I, have done videos together, and it's been a really frustrating time to look at how much I've been able to change myself and how much better I've become as a person and to my community by coming out, and not only coming out being a figurehead, but starting a peer support group in Moncton, joining partnership with the PSAC union throughout Canada, and they gave us the meeting hall to have it at. And I can't even count to you how many people I've come out to, and they would come up to me and they're like, how do I start this? Who do I go see? And I was the one person that I couldn't find. And I was able to say, this therapist will talk to you. Maybe more on the trans women's side. This person will allow you to, or is cool with trans people so you can get laser surgery and have your beard burn off your face. This person's good for endocrinology. These people will talk to you. Basically helping to navigate the system, which is non-existent. And in doing that, Jen, myself, and a couple other members of the community, one in Nova Scotia, and we're trying to work with another one in Prince Edward Island to bring forth the East Coast Trans Alliance, and basically have listings, websites, just the information you need to find. We want us to be the people that you see first, and to actually have somebody to turn to, instead of trying to navigate through this whole process yourself. It's mind-boggling. It just really is. I went through an entire change, not only with drugs, not only with everything else with the medical community, but once I found out what was wrong with me, I quit any recreational drug use, quit alcohol, quit eating meat, no junk food, no chocolate, no nothing. I lost 70, 80 pounds doing so. No, it wouldn't be that much, but probably in that vicinity. I took up jogging to get better cardio health. I started, I quit smoking too. I was a very, very heavy smoker. I quit all of those things to transition, and I've stayed off of, 99% of them. So anyway, it was just one of those things that I had to give that up, and I did that to better my health, to better my transition, to better myself, to go on in my life. And what bothers me is that if I stay with the smoking, stay with the depression, stay with all the bad things, my healthcare coverage is unlimited. I could have taken a heart attack and they would have welcomed me in with open arms and given me all the things that I needed, right? Or in worse shape, I guess, almost every doctor, if you are going from female to male, hysterectomies and dual mastectomies and things like that, many doctors will do, but they won't do them because you're trans. You know, like, our healthcare system really needs to open up and say, well, you know, some of these same operations need to be done to trans people, but you're biased against us for being what we are. And they should be covered no more, like, we're living our lives to be better. Why are you not helping us? Why are you hindering us? And along with that rant, and this is the last little spot, was that Jen and I kind of put into our heads, because of the standards of care, because of all the things that we have to do to become legally women and men, we are only looking, I would say in New Brunswick, there might only be 3 individuals per year that would actually be eligible to do so. So in that regard, I mean, I put money into lots of other things, but if we were just looking at like sexual reassignment surgery, we're looking at about $60,000. And I don't know what the costs are, but I mean, when we look at people with chronic illnesses or illnesses that, you know, they bring on for themselves, how much of that $60,000 did they spend? How much did they get? And not that I'm trying to minimalize any of anybody else's conditions and stuff like that, but I mean, I just think that Jen and I and everybody really needs to fight to make it so that more of us have success stories instead of the actual terrible ones that are the trans community, and I'm sure the rest of the community actually sees. So Thank you very much. Thanks, Jen. Glad to be here.